Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Corner Cinema, Sweet Potato Movie Reviews. My name's Luke, and today I have a treat for you. Today I'm going to be reviewing the very popular, and I believe nominated movie, directed by Martin Scorsese himself, Killers of the Flower Moon. Apologies if I look high in this video, it's just how I conduct myself. If you know anything about these videos, you know that we rank them and review them based on the following categories right here. Never mind the painted fingernails, these weren't my idea. And also, as my colleague mentioned in the previous video, we actually come up with the final determination of what we thought of the movie at the very end by ranking it, whether or not it was good, bad, or just plain horribly written. So that's how I'm gonna go about doing the ranking at the very end, without necessarily getting into it just yet, because obviously there's certain categories that I have to talk about. What did I actually think of this movie? I really liked it. It was very, very well shot. It was well directed. I thought the performances were spot on. I don't think that there was a single missed beat from any of the actors. DiCaprio did very well, and Lily Gladstone as well. And Robert De Niro also did a very good job. This movie did not fail in any of the acting. Overall, I don't think it really failed in along the lines of anything in terms of overall filmmaking. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into the first category, the use of sound in this movie. I think that the soundtrack and score overall was utilized and implemented very, very well. I thought that there was definitely a lot of tear-jerking moments throughout the film. Score is very, very good. It was very well composed and created. I also really, really like the use of the traditional Osage Native American music, and that's kind of implements you and familiarizes you better with their culture. And it was kind of crazy that I had never really. I love history personally, and I read a lot about history, especially American history. I had no idea about this particular event against these people. It was obviously a horrible atrocity that was done on behalf of settlers there, all really over greed, and it just really shows you the evils that people will commit, for the sake of money. It's really sickening, but I think that it's very, very well portrayed, and it kind of sheds some light onto this story, which I feel like isn't nearly as well known as it should be, and I obviously think that's a good thing. Okay. So, how good was the script? I thought the script was phenomenal. I thought it was very, very well written. I feel like the dialogue, and just overall, direction of the story is very, very good as well. I feel like the only real complaint about this movie, although I love it, is that it's so long. And Scorsese is one of those directors where, I haven't really been the biggest fan of his movies, more so because of their length just like the length is always just like so like this movie, for those who don't know, has a runtime of 3 hours and I believe 25 minutes, so like 3.5 hours. That being said, I do think that this movie, I was so invested in it, and I paid attention to almost every single second of it because I was that into it. It was a very, very fascinating film, for me personally, and so that kind of helped the case in terms of the length, because I honestly was a bit nervous about that, because I was like, when I sat down to watch it, I was like, damn, bro, this is a very, very long movie. But yeah, but that being said, it really wasn't that bad. I really didn't mind the runtime overall. Where was I? Script is phenomenal. Yeah, very, very good, very, very well written. I think it implements history very well, and it's a script that will definitely appeal to those who like history and those who are fascinated by it, I think. Yeah, and with that being said, let's move on to the next category. So the next category is, can you relate to any of the characters? And I, for one, think that you absolutely can. Particularly in the case of Molly. I think, obviously played by Lily Gladstone. Again, to bring up the acting, very, very good actress. Definitely plays the part very, very well, and it just feels very grounded and very, very real. That's like just the attitude and the mannerisms, like what she sees and what she experiences within the story, obviously the film goes into her point of view many different times, and I think that she's definitely the most relatable character, because on the other hand, you have DiCaprio's character of Ernest, who we know is up to no good and is ultimately a very, very unrighteous man, to say the least, based on the things that he does. And I definitely think the character, though, of Molly is the most relatable, only because of really, she's really like the primary character in the film that is not necessarily played as a protagonist. That's a little bit more DiCaprio, but her character is definitely the easiest, I think, to empathize with. Okay, next category. Was it an entertaining watch? I think so, personally. And at this point in this review, you know why I personally really like history, and I love any movie that has real history, especially about historical conflicts such as this. I feel like it would definitely, and yeah, like I said earlier, I think it would definitely appeal to those, in the historical demographic. And I think it really would be entertaining for anyone that would just kind of take the time to watch it. Your casual viewer would really enjoy watching it. And I mean, for as such like a sensitive topic the movie covers, I feel like it is portrayed like very, very harshly, obviously. The things that these people went through, how they were murdered at the hands of a greedy old oil tyrant who is completely fixated on his own devious agenda and will play pretend, and act like he's a friend to the Osage people when he's really not, and he's really committing the worst kind of evil you could possibly do. That is all portrayed very, very harshly, and I feel like it could be hard to watch for some people, especially if you are, more along the lines of, you like movies that are, kind of happy in tone. But this one, I feel, is definitely one that could be, it could be entertaining for anyone, in my opinion. And next category, would I recommend that you watch it? Absolutely. I think it's a terrific movie. Obviously, very well written. I think covers history very well, and it just feels like a really, I guess, I don't know really how to word this, but it feels very neutral and very objective in what it's trying to say. What was my favorite part? That is interesting. I would have to say my favorite part of this movie, and again, well, no, not again, I didn't even mention it. I don't want to necessarily spoil it for anyone, but probably my favorite part of the movie is where I can't remember, I don't know what the character's name is, but there was a scene where the Osage people were having a sit down, like a large meeting, and they were talking about the murders that were obviously being committed against them, and they were talking about how in the past, in the old days, their ancestors would have, hunted down the men, that were responsible for doing this to their people and kill them, and execute them. And, it just it's kind of a monologue that's delivered by one of the actors playing an Osage member. And it was a very, very well performed and very authentic feeling monologue, and it's definitely it gives you an insight into how wronged these people were, this horrible thing happening around their reservation, around their land, and it really gives you an insight onto how fucked up the situation was. So that's definitely by far my favorite part. So yeah, that has been my review of Killers of the Flower Moon. I hope you enjoyed this movie, and I guess it's time for the final part. We gotta rank this from good, the bad, and the horribly written. Obviously, bad and horribly written are completely unpresent. This movie is great. It's good. Definitely watch it. So yeah, that has been my review of Killers of the Flower Moon. I hope you enjoyed my very, very monotone review, and I hope that you could get something out of this. So yeah, I will see you in the next review.